Richards trying to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the crease. Score!
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the Street Bullies podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, Bobby?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Cody.
What's not to love?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Street Bullies. My name is Derek.
And I'm John. What's happening?
That was strange. We are joined, as always, by the Matt Casey. What's up, man?
How's it going? What time are you shipping out, Derek? You going Navy, Marines? Where are you going?
I get the joke. I just don't have a witty comeback.
In the Navy.
Anyways, Hoagie, what's up, man?
Boys, what's going on?
There's Hoagie.
Nothing much. Actually, no, there is much going on. We do want to announce we have now partnered with the Hockey Focus, bringing you podcasts from around the league in terms of covering all 32 NHL teams, which is a big step for us. We're happy about it. They've welcomed us with open arms as well, so that's pretty cool. Looking forward to a wide array of coverage when it comes to potentially bringing guys on from different teams, us going on to other shows for other teams as well, and just broadening our own horizons here as well.
All sorts of hockey too, Derek. Not just
Yeah,
the
it's not
NHL.
just-
They've got some great junior hockey talk and all
Great
that
point.
as well.
Did they have a Swedish one on there?
Swedish.
Swedish,
I believe
yeah.
so, yeah.
That's crazy. I'll give that a shot.
We got a
Pretty
Bill
cool
Coleman in the Slack chat. Bill Coleman.
I do need to get in that Slack chat. I've been absolutely slacking when it comes to that.
Joe,
All right.
I went in there probably for like the first time, and somebody's introducing themselves, and this toolbox Hoagie writes, "What up?"
Great first impression there.
Oh, good God! Here we
What
go.
up?
Who made Hoagie our spokesperson?
You got to do it with exclamation point so people aren't like,
I
oh,
did.
what up?
Did
I
you?
did.
Was
Yeah.
it like an overeager, like I'm going to put 3 or 4 of them? Then they're like, oh,
Hoagie,
what
you
the
don't
hell?
exclamation anything, buddy. You're
Okay. Well, speaking of the Slack, I had a notification from John, and I was fully expecting a "screw you, bitch" type of thing. It was just John joined the Slack.
You joined after you made the comments. We didn't get a chance to see it.
All right.
No, but fun stuff. I mean, we're looking forward to that partnership here. But what we're also looking forward to is what we're going to cover here tonight.
Oh, I thought
Which
you were going to
should
say
be-
April 8th,
That
2023.
too. That too. Absolutely.
2023 NHL draft.
When's the trade deadline? That should kind of foreshadow the tone here for tonight. But first order of business that actually just came about this afternoon, or I should say really this evening, if I'm not mistaken. It was this afternoon. I'm an idiot. Sean Couturier. Kind of, to me at least, not a surprise. But Ansan over at Crossing Broad has reported that there is a herniated disc issue, I should say, that looks like they are going to see if there's a 6 to 8 week recovery. If it doesn't get any better, it could lead to surgery, and that surgery could mean he's done for the year.
I thought you were messing with me when you
I
put
did
that
too.
in the group text. I was like, no,
I
no.
wish.
Ha ha ha, Derek.
Yeah, I wish. I really wish. Like I wish I could say that I have nothing to say about this, but I could go on and on and on.
I
So
think everybody can.
it's
Everybody
just,
has.
it's never ending, man. And I don't want to be the guy, the old man screaming at the clouds. You know, I don't want to be that whiny a-hole who's like, man, like everything, this franchise, blah, blah, blah.
Fire Fletcher.
It's Comcast.
Yeah,
Fire Dave
which
Scott.
was
Thanks
me
a
just
God.
in a bit
Thanks
of
a
a
lot,
deeper voice.
Dave.
Yeah, but like, God damn it, can we catch a break here?
I mean, like, listen, there's nothing you could do about injuries, right? I mean, everybody was hoping this guy was going to come back healthy. We needed him to. This is what year 1 of his brand new contract that's
Yep.
paying him like $8 million or something along those lines.
Yep.
But what are you going to do? I mean, things like this happen. The thing that I think you can really dive into, though, is, and we kind of said this at the end of free agent frenzy, if that's what you want to call it, is
Quite the frenzy.
I was concerned at the time that the Flyers didn't address center depth and that we were really playing with fire where we needed Couturier and Hayes to be healthy in order to, field a competitive team. And here you go. We haven't even played a game, and our number 1 center, arguably our best player, is out for potentially a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm just at a loss for words. So, Matt Casey, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know me as a pretty optimistic and positive Flyers fan. Even I'm at this point, between Fedotov, between Ellis, it's tough not to feel a little bit like, how the hell does this keep happening to us? Is it the Kate Smith statue? Is that what happened? Everyone's pissed off about that.
That's exactly it.
Going on. I saw somebody be like, "Oh, this is the hockey gods' payback for the Shea Weber offer sheet."
That's fair too.
So it's hard not to feel that way. And we were going to be hard pressed to ice a very competitive team as it is. This only hurts things and puts more pressure on. I will say this: if it is a 6 to 8 week thing, that's not the end of the world. 6 weeks is basically 2 weeks into the season at this point. We're 2 or 3 weeks into the season. The season starts on the 15th or the 17th or something like that. So we're basically a month away from it. So look, it's not ideal, but if you get an influx of Couturier and Farabee coming into the lineup, come mid-November,
Not bad.
That's not bad. Now, that's best case scenario, and unless things change dramatically for us, we're not going to get the best case scenario.
Yeah,
especially when you highlight. Sorry, real quick, and then I'm gone. I'm going to disappear back into the. But when you kind of highlight the Flyers and how they've handled these injuries and how they've reported on these injuries and the clarity or lack thereof that they've provided with any of these things too.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's frustrating, to boil it down really, but what control do you have over it? I mean, let the guy sit out, get better. It's an 8-year deal.
Some Flyers fans.
We
have all the control.
Yeah, I mean, we can just wave our hands, be like, "Oh, he's healed," But what type of shaman are these people listening to?
We would have done that with Ellis last year.
Yeah,
right?
Hoagie, what's your take on this?
I mean, we're all upset, obviously. I mean, I'm pissed off. I want to drink, but I'm taking that break.
Bad timing, bud. Bad timing.
This is what throws you back into it, man. Jeez.
Really testing your metal here.
Thought about it.
Who had a worse day, us or the British people? I would say us.
Us.
I would say us too.
Screw the Brits.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. Oh no, the Queen's dead.
Let's not completely ostracize our
I will say I was
British
sitting down at 6:30 a.m. to watch the news, and it's 3 hours of funeral coverage. Come on now, this is nuts.
I mean, that's a topic for a different podcast.
First, we're ragging on the Italians last week. Now we're beating up the Brits.
No, we're equal opportunity offenders.
Oh,
we need to be angry at someone.
We've got to take out our anger because, I mean, at this point, it's just you're beating a dead horse when you're taking it out on the Flyers.
You ready to see how good of a coach John Tortorella is?
We have a hard time getting that one out there
to outperform their abilities.
Right.
I think there's something going on.
Wait to see where we go from here in terms of centers.
I think there's truly something going on right now. I think there is a very backdoor meeting-esque feeling to this, where we're gonna somehow end up with Connor Bedard.
You think?
I mean, I see more of a backdoor meeting where Chuck's how do I get into an oil there and get out of this country?
I'm saying this has a very shady.
This part of the manual got ripped out. I don't know.
I don't know.
Derek's
And that's
like,
just me being stupid, but
Derek's doing like the Gary Bettman like puppets here. Like, I'll do what we did with the Penguins.
Is it gonna be the Flyers? I don't know.
Chuck may be playing stupid, but it could end up working out in our favor here.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel, I know the big debate last year was like, do you tear it down? I know it's like, how do you tear it down? At this point,
What are you tearing down?
well, it's also
You can.
is Chuck, is it just forced his hand at this point? With Ellis and Couturier out, and that gives us cap room, but there's no one to give cap to. Like,
There's
if it's
like
Arizona in the woods,
Sonny
then
Milano's on a
nobody's
PTO. We could go in.
Right.
I'm not gonna get into the whole Sonny Milano debate here. That's just, whatever. But
so-
what's there to tear down is my question.
Right.
Realistically,
Right.
looking
Well-
at this year, no matter what position we're in when we get to the deadline, if we're sellers, buyers, we're not going to be buyers. When we're sellers, what are we selling off of worth that's going to get us something? JVR, maybe, if we're
Travis
lucky.
Sanheim, first of all, is
Is-
going to get you
Okay.
close
Right.
to a first, if not a first round pick.
Okay.
But I see where you're coming from, Casey, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, if Sean Couturier has to go through surgery, right? I started to get kind of apprehensive on like, is this guy going to play again? And I don't want it to be too dramatic, but like, is this guy going to be able to come anywhere close to what we need him to? That's a
Right.
big chunk of change. Now, we're going to be able to trade that? No. I mean, at that, if it's that bad, you kind of hope he ends up going on LTIR and we've got money to play with. Ryan Ellis, same thing. Big chunk of change. The guy might never play again. Like, I do think, Casey, like, to kind of further your point, there has to be a point where this organization might have to go, okay, we really just need to see what we can get for anybody.
Right. I
Like-
mean, it's like, anyone who's in the last year of a deal or 1 year, it's like, all right, that's not going to get you a ton, but it's like, even are there off-season moves? Because like, I look at somebody, even though I don't want to see him go, like somebody like Ristolainen, and he's got a no move clause. I think teams are going to value him. I don't think his stock's going to go any higher on this team in the next 2 years. So like, do you see what you can get for Ristolainen in the offseason? I can't see that as a trade deadline move because the contract's too big.
Or somebody like, and I know somebody's going to go and want to lop my head off, but Carter Hart, like if we're in
Realistically,
if we're in tear down mode, right? This guy
Right.
doesn't have much of a contract left. I have a feeling he's not going to want to come back into this hot mess. Like, there's a
Keep
very
him.
realistic chance where he is not a Flyer after his contract anyway. Like, if we're in tear down mode, I'm sorry, but he's one of the more valuable assets on this team. Hopefully, at least we're saying that come trade deadline, off-season
Right.
time. But like, that's who you're gonna have to start parting with.
Yeah.
yeah. And honestly, I mean, at this point, it is a matter of who's going to get you the best return. Like you said, Sanheim could probably fetch us a decent return. Hart could absolutely fetch us a decent return. Like to a team that looks at him and says, that's our guy, put him behind a good defense, because let's be honest, we haven't really had that luxury.
Stable organization, maybe.
A stable organization, yeah. Look at a team that might have a guy who's, twilight years, still playing well, but, they're getting there. Hart's the successor. Bring him in, learn behind that guy. You're in an ideal situation if you're Carter Hart. So if the Flyers could find that, okay, like, am I going to be upset? Absolutely. But what are we supposed to do at this point? This team is floundering. I mean, it's in a rough spot to the point where I can't tell you the last time I thought that it was this bad. You know what I mean? Maybe.
I can't remember a time that there was this little hope.
No, I can't either, quite frankly.
Axed all
Like,
years.
does this?
No, there was still
No.
the promise that Hextall was gonna.
There was
Yeah,
still
but-
the prospects,
But
and
there
the
was
talk of that.
Hextall planning for the future. The actual
So that's
product
called
of-
promise, homeboy.
That's
still
When
a
you have-
plan.
when
for
you-
the future. For the future, yes, but for right now,
but
that's how I felt then.
But there was still a
promise
plan.
has to do with.
there wasn't
Anybody
really
else
even a
want to
plan.
explain
then.
this to the
No.
sandwich? No,
I'm talking
Okay.
about like right now, like there is no plan. And
Yeah.
I felt like with Hackstall, there was no plan either. With the team on the ice performing, there was really no plan.
But
there
because it was a
Let's just see.
long-term plan, buddy. Like that's
Yeah,
that's what it was, a long-term plan.
It felt endless. It did, just because there was no. You could say maybe there was no end game because Hextall didn't feel like we were at that next step,
And it didn't
but
pan out.
it didn't. The big move was signing JVR, and look where that got us. But there was
right here,
a
right
plan
now.
in place. There was a plan in place stating this is what we're doing. We don't have that right now. Chuck Fletcher has said aggressive retool, this, that, yada, yada. Nothing on the ice or in the locker room is indicative of that.
Restabilization is almost even better.
So many times that it's like we don't know what's going on. They can't commit to one single plan.
Stable as a herniated disc, let me tell you.
I'd say that is stable as my sanity right now.
What do you think happens first? Couturier plays. Ellis plays. Chuck gets fired. Flyers make it the playoffs.
C. Chuck gets fired.
Chuck gets fired.
Yep.
Couturier plays.
Okay. John, where do you go?
Man, I'm going to go Couturier plays because I'm really worried that the Couturier injury now gives Chuck Fletcher a little bit more like, what do you want from me?
He's had too many of those. And
I completely agree with you.
He's going to play that card as long as he can.
Yeah.
He will.
Well,
but
he's
it doesn't
the excuse
matter.
king.
Yeah,
Right.
but
It doesn't matter, but he's going to play it until Dave's
those
got
excuses pile up. Like we didn't do well because of this. We didn't do well because of that. Like, okay, you signed Nick Delorier to a 4-year, $1.5 million deal. You brought in
He's
with a
getting
no-move
heated.
Like Chuck Fletcher made the decisions that led to this. We don't have a backup plan for when Sean Couturier goes down. We don't have a good enough even top 6. Our bottom 6 is chock full of this guy and that guy. Nothing. There's no contingency plans even in place. Like there's nothing. Chuck Fletcher's.
I agree with you. I mean, the guy probably should have been fired after last season. But
absolutely.
But I just think that
with AV.
Hoagie, your cheese is grilled today. I don't know what's going on with you, man.
Hoagie's in some type of mood. I like this.
It's sober Hoagie.
3 weeks, baby.
But I think I agree with you, Derek. I think he should be the option, but I can totally see where it's especially with the Flyers ownership doesn't necessarily seem like an aggressive act. Like they'll talk about an aggressive action, but I don't really see that aggressiveness from them right now. Where I wouldn't be shocked if this saves Chuck Fletcher a little bit longer.
But
I think
then it's
eventually he
ownership's
still gets
fault.
fired.
And
Totally
they've
agree
got to
with
take
you.
it out on somebody because they won't admit fault. So guess who the first domino is in that line that's going to fall? It's Chuck Fletcher.
I agree with you. I'm just saying I could see a world
where Sean Couturier plays before Chuck Fletcher gets fired. That's what
you know why? Because
I could see it too.
Timeline, Couturier is going to be like, I got to get back out there and play. I got to play.
The only thing from those choices I can't see is that the Flyers make the playoffs. That's the only unrealistic option.
We can never
Sean Couturier ain't playing this year. Just get over it. This guy's toast for the rest of the year. There's a better shot Ryan Ellis comes back.
I'm gonna throw a wrench in this. I say Ryan Ellis plays first.
Because he played for 4 games last year and then was shut down by the end of the year.
He's rested. He's good to go.
So was Sean Couturier.
Casey wasn't specific on how long he had to play.
Right,
goes out for a shift, blows a knee.
That is fair. Who might actually get some ice time before Sean Couturier hits the ice, though, and Ryan Ellis, Artem Anisimov, and Antoine Roussel. We signed 2 guys to PTOs. 3, I'm sorry. There was a goalie.
There's a bunch.
The guy's last name was Wall as a goalie. I think that's fantastic. Let's just trade Carter Hart now. Put him in net.
John Wall?
Tyler Wall.
Wizards. Tyler Wall.
4-0 and a 426 goals against the average in the AHL.
John Wall is a basketball player. But no, I mean, we brought this up in the group chat.
Definitely don't know the price of gas.
If this happens 5 to 8 years ago, amazing. I think Artem Anisimov and Antoine Roussel would be awesome additions to this team. It's 2022.
It is what it is. Future first line center. So,
but at the same rate too, I'm not going to sit here and get worked up about a couple PTOs. big effing deal. You know, we brought Chris Stewart in on one, and everybody seemed to just want to blow the whole world up because, oh my God, you can't play Chris Stewart. Well, okay, he signed. Great. I think he played a decent role on the team. Like, he wasn't, you know, clogging up any holes. He ended up in the AHL and then sat in the press box most of the year.
Well, listen, I mean, Roussel doesn't play center, right? Roussel's a winger.
I
He's a
don't
left
even
center,
know. I don't
Yeah.
care.
All right, well, I'm telling you, Anisimov's going to be signed now.
I think you're right. Like, I don't see how they can't sign a competent center. I mean, I was reading just a little something about him, and they were just like
competency.
They were like, traditionally, he's big bodied. He plays a lot like Sean Couturier. He's just really bad at face-offs, and I'm like, oh, that's helpful. That's really helpful
for a team that's historically good at face-offs too. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a requirement.
But like, that was the only thing we were good at for a while, and it was like, oh, look at all the face-off wins. It's like, yeah, but we lost again.
Yeah, but look at all the losses.
That particular beat writer. Well, we lost 8-1, but Coach, you want to talk about your success in the face-off circle?
No, not really. The one thing from these guys that sticks out to me is Anisimov's goal celebration. Like, it got him in trouble. Like, I'd love to see that again.
What was that on like the document, the Flyers Rangers like lead up to the Winter Classic thing? I think it was.
I don't think Anisimov was the one
He
that
wasn't
did the
in that
salute,
game,
but he
but
was
like,
the one that did the with the hockey stick, like it looked like a rifle,
and he got a penalty. I just remember it because like he got like tossed in the locker room, and Sean Avery, that fucking mutt, comes in and he's just like, Sean Avery's just like, you know, when Sean Avery's just be like, dude, you can't be doing that. Like, that's the worst.
It's like Keith Richards telling Jack Nicholson he's had too much.
Like, you gotta lay off the yacht a little bit.
It's like John telling somebody they're talking too much. Oh, there we go. No, I mean, what are these guys going to bring to the team? I mean,
well, listen, I mean,
toughness.
Sure. Well, first of all, like, people are all up in arms about the whole professional tryout thing. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're on the team, but in some like really like option D or E or F way, this is kind of Chuck Fletcher trying to like stabilize things where it's like, well, if somebody gets hurt, at least we have Anisimov, or hey, like if our fourth line,
not as stable as a house of cards right now. Like,
what's the worst that could happen? Oh, we saw it last year when we had no centers for like 3 months.
I mean, let's be real. Anisimov will last 3 games and get hurt, but
well, that's
I mean,
you do that
3
about
more
anyone.
games than Sean Couturier.
And I don't think realistically you're bringing in people who are going to clog any spots for a bright prospect. You know what I mean? Like, if Morgan Frost all of a sudden transforms into the first line center, we're not going to be sitting here going, well, goddamn, Anisimov has taken up that role for him.
Right.
You know, or like a fourth line winger. Like right now we're looking at Bash Brothers anyway. Like, he's not going to be in any legitimate player's way if they make this team. They're just going to be like contingency plans.
How did Anisimov get out of Russia? Like, how come our guy?
Vorobiev sold him a draft dodging card.
I was gonna say he gave a tip about Fedotov and then split while they were
sold him out. That son of a bitch.
Take up his cap space and all.
Oh boy!
I hear you may have an opening.
Yeah, you need a Russian. But I mean, I look at it too from the camp aspect, where you're going to bring in these guys who've been around for a while, that are experienced, that know the ins and outs of the league, when you do have a good bit of younger kids. So it is advantageous in that sense that kids like Tyson Forrester, kids like Bobby Brink, maybe Tuamala, if he's back over here as well, depending on who it is. He's not okay. Well, then Brink and Forrester and whoever else you want to throw into the mix.
Brink's also injured.
Brink, whatever. I don't care. See, this
I was
is
just
how
letting
much
him roll with it.
Yeah, just shut the hell up. Let me roll with this. These kids that are coming up. I mean, a Gauthier. If he's going to be in camp, he's not going to play with the Flyers this season probably. But like bringing in to give a little bit of an advantage to these kids to learn from and show them like the way of the pros, what camp's like, and really just kind of take them under their wing. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here.
Wait, also, Go ahead.
I'm laughing because Gautier's in college. Like
he's not even going to be in training camp
I
either.
don't even care
2 weeks he starts. Sorry.
So, like, also, I love this idea where people get all ticked off where, God forbid, these veterans come in and earn a spot.
Right.
They come in and actually play their way onto the roster. Don't we want people like that? Isn't that what we're clamoring for? People who want like this go get it attitude. And we're like, oh well, God, if they make
we want the homegrown talent though, John.
Tanner
we want the guys
Lashitsky's
that we
not going to be
drafted.
able to play
Have you
2
not
games
seen the Gates
before he
brothers?
breaks his feet.
It's I'm with you there. Earn the spot. I mean, and Tortorella's the guy that's gonna probably lean on that policy heavier than most because he seems like the type of guy that'll push these guys and get the best out of them. If the best out of Roussel or the best out of Anisimov is better than the best you're going to get from Lashinsky or Wade Allison, I'm all for it.
And honestly, like, nobody should give a damn whether Jackson Cates plays. If Jackson Cates plays, he earned it. It's this, and this is talking from somebody who really likes covering prospects, but like, it's this obsession with the word prospect. We love this idea of projecting what somebody might be.
What's his ceiling?
Right.
What
It's
is
all
his ceiling?
you know, and we love to talk about his hockey sense and this, and we can't talk about
Great vision.
30. Right, great vision.
What about the Corsi?
Like, I just want competent individuals. I want the best roster possible on this team. And if it's Roussel and Anisimov, whatever.
I think we may have seen that this weekend during the rookie game. That may be the best possible roster we have to offer.
Call them all up.
Oh boy. I mean, you know, again, at the end of the day, it's a PTO. There's no contract yet. Nothing to get your panties in a bunch about. Just 2 guys coming in to see what they can do.
Yep.
Why not?
Yeah,
You know,
right.
I see. There's no reason to say that they have to take them. And if they, as John said, if they earn their way on there, great. Like, I'd rather have guys who work their asses off. Like, I don't think we're in a position to turn down any sort of competent centers.
Seriously.
Nope, not at all.
Wayne Gretzky wants to come back at this point.
Lace them up, Wayne. Let's go.
If there's one fan base that'll boo them, it's ours.
Opening night.
He's clogging Jackson Cates' spot.
And Noah.
Oh, God. What about Ollie Leixel? But no, I think looking forward towards camp, you know, what are some of the storylines? I'm going to go to you first, Hoagie, because you never get enough time to talk. What are some of the storylines? Well, I mean, come on, someone's got to feed him here. What are some of the big storylines that you're most looking forward to when it comes to camp?
I mean, the biggest one now is their centers. that's the one for me. No, I don't care.
Well, it's hanging fruit. You're right. You're right.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen with these centers now. I kind of want them to just kind of throw Morgan Frost to the Wolves and put him on 1C and see how the hell he does. Why the hell not? Showcase his talent, showcase that he can or cannot play in this league, and see what happens.
Somebody bringing you in for dinner? What is going on? Come on in, Hoagie. Come on in. Supper time, Hoagie.
I'm intrigued by that, actually. I mean, think about how often we've talked about Morgan Frost's skill set and how he's a better top line or top 6 guy. Now, yeah, we'll see if it translates to the NHL, and I have no reason to believe it will. What do we have to lose at this point? You know?
Games.
Aside from, like, who cares at this point, honestly.
Losing games for the Bedard.
Yeah, dude, I say screw it. Put him on the top line. Give him Atkinson and, you know, somebody else.
Give him people to work with.
Yeah, right. Give him some skill around him. They'll make him better, and if they don't, then it's him. He's the problem.
Skill. Yeah, there's a lot of skill to put
Plenty of skill. We are chock full of skill.
JVR and Travis Konechny on that top line. Woo, doggy.
I said skill.
I know. This is what I'm giving you. I'm giving the
You're
the rest of
discounting
what we
Cam
got.
Atkinson. I'm taking Cam Atkinson over both those guys.
Yeah,
Who's on the other side?
I don't care. I don't.
Noah
Put
Cates, right?
Forrester up there. Put
Antoine
Forrester up there.
Roussel.
An Isamov, Frost, and Atkinson.
Oh my god.
All right, Casey. What's the storyline, Casey? What are you thinking?
All right, so forget the forwards for a minute. I go the biggest storyline that I'm looking for, or one of them, is chemistry with Ivan and Tony.
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 To see how they
Tony.
met, because if that meshes, then I would argue we are in a much better place defensively than we were a year ago.
Oh, certainly.
If that goes to hell, look, there's still options in there, but we can't be having Braun up on the first pairing defenseman again. And so I think of all the things that are within the control of the team and the players on the ice, like that's one that can be in control. Like forget injuries, forget all that sort of stuff. Like if those two can connect, I don't even care if they get along and whatnot, but like if they can play well together on the ice, I think that makes our defensive core and hence Hart more stable. It's still not great, but I would say it's much more stable.
And if Tony D'Angelo doesn't pan out, then Justin Braun's sitting on the bench having Nom flashbacks. Like, oh my God.
It's going to make me do it again. Do it again. Do it again. No,
We got Steeler and Connaughton waiting in the wings. We're good.
Oh,
Yeah, we're fine. No, all right, John. Your turn here.
I mean, Hoagie and Casey pretty much gave the big ones for me, but I'm really interested to see what the goaltender position looks like. I think in two different ways. One, I want to see how the team plays around the goalie to kind of put Carter Hart and whoever the hell else is playing goalie for this team
Tyler Wall.
into more favorable situations. But I'm also really interested to see if, Sandstrom can kind of step up as the backup goalie, because I do think that, like, even though Chuck kind of forgot about the position, our backup goalie this year is going to be a really crucial spot. We play 17 back-to-backs. Carter Hart,
something like that.
Carter Hart tends to have at least a minor stint where he's not healthy. Like, if Felix Sandstrom can't be a legitimate backup goalie, like, yeah, you know what, Coots, take the year, because it's just not going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm really interested to see, because I feel like this offseason has provided us with so many different options for a bottom six, where we're thinking, that fourth line is going to be one of the toughest out there in terms of McEwen and Delorier and whoever plays center. But I'm really anxious to see how the bottom six shapes out. Like, are they actually going to go with that? Are they going to think that McEwen can play up into the third line? Like, are they going to think that Delorier could? I don't think that's possible, but I'm not the coach. Who else is going to slot in? Because our top six isn't good. Like, the formatting of the lineup is what's going to really intrigue me the most. I'm sure I'm probably just being really general here, but like, there's just so many moving parts right now, and so many kids, so many players, everybody that I honestly right now, even looking at the people that we have, I probably couldn't put a lineup together. Like, I just don't know.
Tricky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be intriguing to me, especially with, the lack of center depth now. You've got options in terms of, are you going to convert Scott Lawton back to center and he's going to come off the wing? Morgan Frost is going to have to play center. Hayes, what's going to happen, if Couturier can't play there for however many games? It's just, there's so much to look at when you try to construct the lineup.
So there's a couple things with that. One, I'm also interested. You're interested in the bottom six. I'm interested in the top six. I know it's like lacking talent. Everyone's cracked. Like, there is some talent on there. I understand that. Like, I'm interested to see who can step up. It's not like, oh, who's going to step up? It's like, who actually has the skill set to be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna carry a heavier load this year, and it maybe it's 15 goals when they had 7 last year. Maybe it's 20 when they had 15 last year. Whatever it is, like, can Cam do it? Can Konechny get his shit together? Can Farabee, when he gets back, like, shoulder some of the load? Can Hayes do it? Like, I think there's options there, but I haven't seen anyone like want to do it yet, with the exception of, I would argue, Hayes at the end of last year, like really kind of stepped up a bit. Now, sorry, go ahead, John.
Well, I was gonna say too, like, I'm very interested to see if Tortorella can get this team to kind of improve as a unit, like what you're saying.
That was my next point, and
Right. Like, you know, this isn't going to be a one person can take this over. All 5 guys on the ice have to play flawlessly, essentially, you know? And like, I'm interested in what is tough to play against for this team actually look like. Like, who ends up playing major roles to kind of fit that mantra? And like, we did multiple episodes on it, but will people like Travis Konechny end up fitting that tough to play against mold? I'm really curious, because it's a thing that we've kind of been shoved down our throats. Like, what does that actually look like to the point where they could be somewhat successful on the ice?
Sure. And I'm going to go back to the well here, because we talked about Tyson Forrester, but I'm really anxious to see what his camp looks like, because if he has a good camp,
Star player.
Not going to go that far.
No, neither am I.
But I mean, I'm not going to be surprised, given the lack of depth, if he somehow ends up maybe in a, you know, second line role. You know, oh yeah, that's soon. But given the team's makeup right now, why not? If you can get him on a second line, maybe with Hayes at center, you've got another guy like Konechny, or, you know, whoever, or Atkinson, if he's not on the first line. Atkinson, Hayes, and Forrester. I think that could really cater to Forrester, because you've got a guy who, you got goal scorers on that line. Hayes can dish it too. Like, that could be a decent makeup of a second line there, given that Forrester can rise to the occasion and stick to the NHL.
Well, let's not forget about Tippett too, though. Like, before we have Tyson Forrester, like,
Allison.
But no, but I'm being serious. I mean, Wade Allison.
No,
you know, but
I like Allison. Don't crap on Allison.
Right. No, but like with Owen Tippett, like
about Wade Allison.
Owen Tippett is essentially what we want from Tyson Forrester, but at just a few years older, you know, like I think that he'll be given a shot. If Tyson Forrester played center, he'd be up here tomorrow, and he'd be like,
he'd be first line center.
Right. But like, I just think, you know, this team isn't in a rush, because I don't think that wing necessarily is the priority for where we need help. I mean, listen, it's not a great unit together anyway, but like, I do think that like a guy like Tippett will kind of be the one that we see in the beginning. And then if Tyson Forrester can kind of show that he can play a quality game in the AHL with actual AHL players, not opposed to like 2 years ago, he'll certainly get a shot. I just think like we get a little excited about rookie games, which
I want to go back to John.
You're robbing me of my happiness. We got to get excited about something.
He wants to go back to John's point.
I want to go back to John's point.
Let's go back to what John has to say.
Embracing towards the system. I think one thing that, like it or not, this team has been torn down, and there's not like a line that was like, oh, that worked dynamite. Like, we have to keep these 3 guys together. So I literally think it's going to be a blank slate for Tortorella on the whiteboard to be like, these 3 guys work together. I know people are going to be pissed off that like I'm putting them together. He doesn't care. Right. Like, it's going to be whatever works best for the overall team, which like still might not equate to a good season. But I do think it's not the kind of thing where he's inheriting one of, you know, the perfection line, or like, you know, one of those things that you feel obligated to put together. It's a total clean slate. And again, 0 egos whatsoever, or at least there better not be any egos on this team. And like the one
Travis Sanheim comes in. I won the best defenseman of the year award. Here's my podcast
trophy.
You're the smartest kid in the dumb class. Way to go.
So I think if you're gonna let Torts architect this lineup, at the very least it's a clean slate, and you're like, okay, he's not being forced to put anyone together. He's doing this because this works for the system that he has.
Well, he has no loyalty either. Like, and I don't mean like he's not loyal to his players, but like he doesn't have any past connection where it's like, oh, Kevin Hayes, slide him on up. Like, they're all new players to him.
Except for Atkinson.
Yeah,
but that's how it should be. He should not go into this with any type of preconceived notion other than the notion that this team sucked last year. He should go in and the year before.
And there's a problem in the room.
Exactly.
The room.
Which he said as much, which we discussed last week. Coming into this with what John said, a completely clean slate, no thoughts about how Hayes was with the Rangers, how Atkinson was with Columbus. Do your thing, grade these kids on what you see in camp, and then make your decisions based off that.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the kids.
Well, I meant, you know what I mean.
A whole squad.
They're all younger than Casey.
That is true.
Of course they are.
So John alluded to it as well. The rookie game obviously happened this past weekend. Forrester had a great game. Looked like Leixel had a pretty good game too. I'm assuming how many of us watched the game by a show of hands here? Nope. Saw highlights. Anybody watch the highlights?
The only thing I'll say about it is like the names that I wanted to hear called were called. And I think like that's the only stock I'm gonna put in that. It's like, all right, yes, good. I'm glad the Kate brothers did well. I'm glad Forrester did well. I'm glad that Adder did well. I'm glad that apparently Meltzer was saying that Zamula looked bigger. It's like, oh dude,
I'm so tired of hearing that. He put on 12 pounds.
Great.
So those are the names I wanted to hear about. The rest of them, I'll learn if I need to. But it's better.
Another 2 to 3 years.
Wins in rookie games, and everyone came out healthy. But we'll see what happens.
Yep. Anybody else? Anything to add?
I hate everything about rookie games. I hate everything about rookie camp. Because you got these people who just go, "Oh, this guy looked great," right? Ethan Sampson's doing great. Like it's just, and then you don't hear about these players all year long until some moron interviews his mom or whatever. Like
until Elliot Desnoyers starts lighting it up again, baby.
Well, no, but here's the thing. Actually, I do think that like when Casey was saying the names that you want to hear did well, I put him in that, especially when center seems like it's going to be a bit of an issue for us. Like we need this guy to play well, and everything that everybody seems to be saying, who actually holds some weight, is like this kid could be in the NHL sooner than later, and not because he's going to light the lamp, but just because he seems like a smart kid who knows what to do when, and like
sound
right
hockey sense.
Hockey sense, that vision.
There it is. There it is.
I didn't want to say it, but that's exactly what you were
didn't want to say.
There must be a term for this. It's
I just picture.
Casey brought up good points. You hear the guys that you want to hear about. They're doing well. The other guys, hey, added bonus if they can do well too. But I mean, again, to John's point as well, it's tough for me to get excited about rookie games. The one positive I took from this personally is that Wade Allison wasn't playing in it. So, there's that. But no, I mean, there is a decent bit to talk about here tonight. I think we covered it for the most part. But, moving forward here, we're going to have training camp to talk about. Some preseason games as well. They kick off shortly. Aside from that, though,
injuries.
Injuries too. They'll happen. They always do.
Who's the next one? Who's the next one to get injured?
Oh God, don't feel it.
Should we start like a Deadpool for injuries?
How every week we throw another 20 into the thing.
We'll announce the winner on next week's show.
It's going to be Carter Hart, right? Definitely. Sandstrom comes in.
How could it? If it's JVR, are we like? Yeah,
everybody wins.
More LTIR. We can't spend anywhere. Awesome.
I know. Let's go shopping.
Yeah, let's sign those guys from their PTOs. We've got the money now.
It's like you win the lottery, but you can only shop at a flea market. Like that's basically what we have.
The dollar store.
Before all of this crap came out about Couturier or even Anisimov, when Hoagie all he told us was about Roussel, I had this picture in my mind that Chuck Fletcher walks by John Tortorella's office humming, and Tortorella goes, "Chuck, what are you so happy for?" Just leans on the door post. It goes 2 words, Anton Roussel, and then just walks away.
Tortorella goes,
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
you know.
Well, we're all laughing. Hoagie, keep the ball rolling here. Give us your dad joke.
Oh God!
What does
Or really
Beethoven
good.
do in his grave?
Roll over.
He decomposes.
I get it.
yeah.
He was a composer. You decompose
Coming
a dead
from-
body.
A guy who's married to a music teacher, I can appreciate that.
You're welcome. You can use it tonight.
For what?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to use that for.
Talk
She'll
dirty
be like,
to me,
"You're an
Derek.
idiot."
You gotta do your
Are you going to bury your wife tonight? Is that what's going on?
I
Trying to
will
set
neither
the mood.
confirm nor deny.
He's gonna light candles, put on some mangeray, and just be like, "What do you call? Wait, what was it?"
John can't even remember. Jesus Christ.
I'll be surprised.
Oh. Well, let's hurry up and get around to the Twitter stuff and all that so that John doesn't forget that. So, Casey, where can everybody find you here?
Pod Street Casey.
Hoagie,
Street Hogs.
John,
You can find this podcast on all your various podcast listening receptacles, included but not limited to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Spreaker.
Why are we listing him again?
Because I really screwed the pooch last time, so now I'm going the full bore. Pod Chaser, Pod Bean, Pocket Cast, Flip My Pod, Tickle My Pod, and then the other ones.
I don't even have like,
Google
the motivation to
Podcasts.
cut you off from this ridiculousness. Oh,
Full bore.
well, anyways, you can find me on Twitter, Podstreet Bob. You can find John on Twitter, Podstreet Gove. You can find the Podstreet Bullies here on Twitter, PodST Bullies. Check out our affiliates over at Flyers High and Wide. They're on Twitter at FlyersHW, as well as our buddies over at the 5 Minute Major Podcast. You can find them on Twitter at 5min Major Pod. Also, the Hockey Focus. Follow them on Twitter as well. We're part of their network now. Otherwise, folks, we've got a little
After
bit more
that
to look
dad
forward
joke,
to.
they may drop us, though. I'm not going to
They
lie.
might. They might. So it's been
Well,
fun
lasted.
for the one episode. But until then, folks, have a wonderful week ahead. And
Bye now.
that's it.
Go Birds.
Shut up.
Shut up, Hogan.